In this video, I'm going to be discussing Sports Photo Automation Alignment Modes 1 and 2. And these are the most common alignment modes that you'll use. I mean, they're certainly not the only ones. There's 10 different alignment modes. But these two are very common, and they work a little bit differently. So you really need to understand the situation for both your templates that you're using and how you're shooting to decide which one of these modes you want to use. Alignment mode 1, it's going to put a red box on the template, and it's pretty simple to understand what this is doing. It's just aligning the chin to the top of the head, and it's placing it centered inside the box. So you see that it has done that in this image, and that's how it scales your image and places your image. So wherever you move that red box, it's going to put the player's head in there and scale the image until it fills that space. Now if we look at another image with alignment mode 1, you can see that in this image it's done the same thing. The red box is in the same place. However, in this image you see where the feet are. They're much higher than in the prior image. And that's because alignment mode 1 is only scaling by the head size, and that's the only thing that it uses for its scaling. So there's times when you want to use this and there's times when you don't. I'll discuss that in a little bit here later on in the video. But just know that if you're using alignment mode 1, it's going to size the head and it's not going to do anything for the placement of the feet. Now alignment mode 2, it's got a crosshair and a bottom line. So it's going to center the head to that crosshair, and it's going to scale it until the bottom of the transparency meets the line. And also, sometimes people ask why this isn't centered between the eyes. Well, it's centering the head as a whole. So if you look at the space between the ear and that crosshair, you move it to this side, you notice that space is exactly the same. So it's centering the head as a whole and not the eyes in particular. So if they're looking to one direction, then this will be off-center. The more straightforward they're looking, the more this will be between the eyes. Just kind of went off topic there for a bit. But just know that this crosshair is centered on the head, and this bottom line is the bottom of the transparency. Now if we look at that other image here on mode 2, now this alignment is in the same spot as the prior image we looked at. The alignment marks are the same, and in this case it put the feet in the same spot and the head in the same spot. But one thing you'll notice is that the head is much larger on this image, and that's because it had to scale this image more in order to get the feet to align. So it places the face in the same spot, but it had to scale larger to get the feet all the way down to that bottom red line. And the reason why is because kids' heads grow before their bodies do. So younger kids have a larger head in relationship to the size of their body. If you think about toddlers, like 2 and 3-year-olds, they're like bobbleheads. They got these giant heads compared to the rest of their bodies. And by the time you reach adulthood, that ratio of head to body size is a lot different. So, and even within the same age group too, you'll get different proportions. So if you need the feet always aligned in a certain spot, then alignment mode 2 is what you'll want to use. And one thing too is you don't have to keep the feet in the image. So for example, let me scale this here. If you want to make a composite, let's say you're just below the knees and you want that to be your cutoff point in the composite. If you set that bottom red line somewhere off canvas, SPA is not going to have any problems aligning to that. So if you're shooting with feet in the image, that is the most accurate way to always ensure that you crop the image exactly where you want as far as going off canvas, because it's going to be very reliable that way, knowing where the feet are. So you're probably wondering why you would ever use mode 1, because mode 2 in almost all cases, well, I'm going to say in all cases, is going to be more accurate for getting the body positioned where you want, as long as you have feet. Now, the reason why you would need to use mode 1 is, let's say for the example, let's go back to where we can see the feet again. Let's say you've cropped some images in your shoot. So I took this same image and I cropped it before I ran it. And here's what happened when we put it on mode 2. If the image is cropped, it's going to align the bottom of the transparency to that red line and the face to that red crosshair. So you can see the same image in mode 2. It scales completely differently if there's no feet in the image. So imagine if you're running a photo shoot and your camera person is all over the place. Some images have feet, some are, from the knees up or whatever. If you're using mode 2, each of those is going to scale differently because of how the camera person is cropping, because it's going to expand so the bottom always hits that red line, whether that's knees, waist, feet, or whatever. Now mode 1, on the other hand, if we go to, let's see the mode 1 here. So this has got the red box and it places the head in the red box, and notice where the feet are down here. But if we run that same cropped image through mode 1, notice that the scaling remains exactly the same because it's scaling to the face, or the head. It's putting the head inside that red box. So it doesn't care where the feet are, even if that image is cropped. It doesn't matter. It's still scaling the image the same. So if your cameraman is cropping some images like this, and then some images have feet in them, and you want to run those all in the same template and have them have a similar scaling, then mode 1 is what you're going to have to use. Now, if you want to strategically shoot for the best case for being able to have the most ability to align your templates as you want, I recommend always shooting with the feet in the image, whether you need those feet in the final composite or not, and then using mode 2. That is what I would prefer. And like I say, that way you can use the feet if you want, but if you don't want them, and you always want cropped at a very specific part on the body, it's going to be very, very accurate this way, because from the middle of the shin to the face, for example, that's always going to be about the same percentage of the overall body height. So I'm just going to guess maybe that's 85% of the total height there. That's always going to be that roughly that same percentage. So as long as the feet are in the image, it's always going to snap a line to that line that's below the canvas, and it's going to very accurately get you the exact cropping point you want when it puts the image onto the template. I hope that makes sense. But anyway, that is the difference between mode 1 and 2. So in conclusion, if you want to do the best, shoot feet, use mode 2. If your cameraman is all over the place and they are cropping differently, mode 1 is probably what you're going to have to use in order to avoid the scaling differences image to image. Hope that makes sense, and be sure to watch the other videos because I go through all 10 of these alignment modes in different videos.